Rightio guys, welcome back to part 2 of creating a new game mode for Battlefield 6, i.e. this being a hostage rescue game mode. So let's just recap on what we did in the first stream from yesterday, and what we managed to accomplish. Quite productive. So far we've accomplished the fact that you can go up to a random located hostage that gets placed on the map. You interact with the hostage, and then the hostage, by his own accord, the AI manages to get himself back to the main base, and once he's back to the main base, that's when he's going to score for the team, basically. But we've got some way to go yet before we've got this perfect. We've got the basic mechanics working. We've got the icons working. And what we want to do now is we want to set up the actual scoring system and how this is going to be a fair game for basically both teams. And to do that, we're going to have to set up a few new rules, which I'm going to teach you guys how to do. So what we want to do is we want to go a new variable, and we're going to set up the scoreboard first so we can see what the scores are, and we're going to set up various new variables. We're going to go new variable, and we're going to pull this death count, kill count, sorry, so we can record how many kills people get. I'm not going to use the get player kills array that's built into the game because it is not going to be suitable for calling it back in some of the functions that we're going to be doing a little later on. So we're going to set up a new variable for the kill count for any player. We're also going to set up death count for any player. We're going to set up an assist count for any player. And then we're going to set up a revive count for any player. And the final one we're going to add is the release count. Also for any player. Person that actually triggers the hostage to be released back to main base. So we've got those variables in place, and we want to make sure that they are all set correctly. So in the game setup function that we've set here, we're going to put, no, I apologise, we're going to set up a new rule here for, we also want to count how many players are on the team as well, because what we're going to do is override some of the restrictions that have been put in place on Portal by DICE to prevent bot farming, and we can override that. It's a little bit naughty, but it works, and it's not going to be abused in this situation, so it's not going to be a bot farm. So I'm sure they're going to be fine with this. What we're going to do is count the amount of players on each team, and that then, if there is not enough players, we're going to spawn in our own AI bots to do their own thing, and at the same time we're going to allow them to be able to help and assist players, but we'll do that later. But we're going to put the variable in place anyway. So we're going to set up a new global variable for all the players. We don't want to, because we're going to index them with numbers, we're going to go player count for both. So this is going to be for both teams, but because that's a global variable, we will want to make sure that is completely, get rid of that one, don't need that now because it's a game setup. So we're going to put in a function to make sure that variable array is already set to 0 on both teams. And to do that, we're going to go to arrays, set variable at index. We're going to drag that in to player count, and at index 0 we're going to keep that at 0 because we're not going to use that index. We're going to use 1 and 2. So for index 1, team 1, and index 2 for team 2. And then on the way to get the count, we're going to put here new player joined, and we can run a script for new players and even give information on how to play the game mode and things like that later on. So on player joined game, so on player join game, okay, we're going to put a condition that the player is on team 1, so it's equals the event of the player, so just the player, oh excuse me, where are we? Yep, so does the event player, the player that's joined, get team for that event player, duplicate that, and we're going to get rid of that and put it as Izzy on team 1. We are then going to set the variable, copy that in, for team 1 to 1, but actually we want to add to the number. So to do that, we're going to go add, remove that, and then we're going to get that same variable that we're adding to is the player count at I'm sorry, it's value in array at get the variable of the index of team 1, and we're going to add 1 to that existing number. So if it's 0 and it's the first person to join the game, it goes up by 1, and so on and so on. And then we can keep a track of how many players are on each team, and we're just going to copy and paste that and just change that index to team 2, and that's going to track how many people are on each team. Simple as that. However, we've done that wrong. We're going to drag that out. We're going to create a new rule, team 1, and the reason why I'm using different rules is because I want to use different widgets for the user interface. So this is a new player joined team 2. Change that to one player joined game. Drag that in, copy and paste that, and change that to team 2. Done. That's done. We are also going to set their variables for everything else to 0 for the scoreboard purposes. So we're going to put in, change that to player, so for that player that is joining, the kill count, reset it to 0 from the start. For the death count, make sure that's at 0. For the assist count, set to 0. Set the revive count to 0, and set the release count to 0. And this will basically make sure that the arrays are ready and waiting to take a new number, and also ensures that those figures are absolute 0 at the start. So again, we're just going to copy and paste those back in. Exactly the same. We don't need to change teams or anything with that. Quite straightforward array. Done. All done. So So that's the initial thing that happens when somebody joins the game. So we also want them to be removed from the array. So this is player leaves the game, i.e. if they quit out of the game. And this is on player leave game. If it's at condition team 1, interesting. That's interesting. Why won't it allow me to... I don't think it's necessary to do an event player on a leaving game, because once the person has left, there is no event for the player. So I think we're just going to actually... Let's see what events are there. Event team, event player, event normal, event sector. I don't think there is an event leave. Quit. I don't think there is. Okay, so what we're actually going to do is just say is. It's not a must. Exact. Value. Absolute, maybe. Absolute value. Maybe not. Maybe we just do this as a event from get team. Interesting. Interesting. So we can't call a player event for somebody that's left the game. What we would like to do is determine how many players are on each team when that player is left. On player exit, on player leave game, on player undeployed. I mean, that's when you redeploy, surely. On player exit, enter, died, deployed. Actually, do you know what? I don't think this is going to be a problem, because we only want to spawn the bots in for when there's not enough people on the server, just to sort of backfill the server with our own bots. And I think that's not necessary in this case. Yeah, I don't think we need to do that then, maybe. Because if one or two people leave the game, then we can always just actually push a function for that to work, because the server won't allow us to spawn more than the bots that are necessary anyway. We're going to actually ignore that for the moment, because I don't think that's going to pose an issue. We've got a count of how many players are on each team, and they've got their reset variables ready for the scoreboard. So we'll just work on that scoreboard function now. So I'm going to put a new rule in. In fact, we can just drag and drop that back into the thingy. We'll just set it up here first as a blank game setup. We'll just drag them into the game setup at the moment. So just call this scoreboard temp for the moment. So on the game mode started, again, at the start of the round. No, on game mode started. And we're going to look at the functions for the scoreboard now. So what do we have? We can do various things with this. We could do what we're going to do here is we're going to set up a complete new custom scoreboard, because at the moment it's all just in one list. It's quite messy. So first of all, we're going to get them in. So scoreboard types, get them in. Scoreboard headers, we want the headers in. We want all of this really. We don't want the sorting, that's fine. Don't need to do sorting. Column names, we want the column names. Player values is going to be important for us afterwards. We're going to just drag that there for now, but we're not going to put that. We're not going to do that at all at the moment. And set column widths, we don't need that either. So we're going to just drag this in temporarily. Set the scoreboard header. So we want message, so we can put a message for team 1 and team 2 in here. So we're going to call the two teams by some names. So the attackers, so they are going to be the, well, what is it, when somebody releases a hostage. So we could call them, we'll call them SWAT. Why not? And we're going to call the other team as Crim. Okay, that's for criminal. But what we want to do here is we want to actually put the actual team scores in as the title as well, which is a neat little trick to do, because then the teams can just tab and just see the scores, and we don't have to use an AI function, a UI, a user interface function for a widget to put the scores on the screen. We don't need to do that. So we're going to put SWAT colon, and then what I'm going to do is just use these curly brackets, and whatever I put into the second box now is going to show up on that line there. And the same for Crim. And there we go. And what we want to do now is make some new variables again. 2 global variables. And we're going to go new variable, global, team 1 score. Create a new and another new one, and then team 2 score, 2 new global variables. And before we do anything with those variables, we want to make sure that they are empty at the start of the round, so we just copy those in. T1 score at 0 is 0, and team 2 score at 0 is 0. Perfect. And then what we're going to do here, it's obviously going to be 0 at the start, but we can use this to copy and paste, so no problem. And what we're going to do there now is go to value in array. We're going to get the variable of team 1 score, which I'm going to keep indexed at 0, and then whatever the score I've set in that index of 0 is going to show up as the score. Should we just change that from the team names to hostages? Let's put it hostages. Hostages. It's going to show up as 0. Criminal. We're going to change to score, because they are actually going to score kills in order to win, whereas the team 1 can only score by releasing hostages. Okay, just drag and copy that into that place there and change that to Team 2 score. So that part is done. And now what we want to do here is we want to set the actual titles for them, for each of the columns. So we've got kills, deaths. What else did we put? Kills, deaths, assists, revives, and we're actually going to do a score instead. We're going to give players scores. So we're actually going to just rename that last variable we made, which was the release count, and we're just going to call that player scores. Okay, that'll be easier, I think, to track later on instead of having to do more work along the line for that. So I'm happy with that's going to be perfectly fine. So we're just going to drag those into our game mode started. We're going to put it. We're going to drag those up there, out of the way, and we're going to put those there. Done. Scoreboard is done. So how do we keep track of the amount of kills per player? Easy done. So, new condition. We're going to go new rule, player kill count team 1. On player earns a kill. To make sure that that player is on team 1, we're just going to drag our same function in there, which is going to be useful. Equals get team of the team player is on team 1, and we're going to then make a new variable for that, and we're going to go set variable for player, the event of that player, kill count, and then we're going to do our add value in array again. So we've got to actually just copy that, but we're just going to change that player to player, sorry, like so, and put that as kill count, and that is at because it's not an array with an index, we don't need to do that. So we just get the original variable for that player. Okay, so it's going to add 1 to the score every time that person got a kill, and of course we need to do that with team 2 as well. So team 2, and change that to team 2, kill count for that player, add 1 to it. Okay, so that's the count for the kills done. We want to do death counts now. So we're going to change and duplicate that again. So this is a death count on player died. That player is on team 1 who's died. So it's going to change that death count and add variable to that death count of 1. Very straightforward there. Just copy and paste that again, and we're going to change this to the people on team 2, like so, and just change that to, yep, that's fine, death count, death count. I don't actually believe we need to do teams because we're not team counting the, we don't. So we don't have to do teams, we're just going to count them. It's just because it's a global count. So just doing death counts for everybody. So on player died, so no condition there, no condition there. Whoever dies gets that kill. Whoever gets a kill gets that added to their variable for their player. And we want to do 1 for assists, so player assist count. On player earns, I believe it's on player earns assist. Earned kill assist. Perfect. Get that variable for that event player to assist. Assist. That's done. Very quick and easy. What was the last one we had to do? The revive count. So player revive count. Now, I don't know if this is going to be like if is it the person that revives another person, or is it the person that's getting revived? Because I don't believe that it is the person that is getting revived. So it would be the other person, I believe. So I think this is going to be on player revive, which I believe is going to be somewhere here. On revived. Now, who does it get scored to? So revive count and a revive count. Now, does it get a? Is it other player or is it the player? That's questionable. Could be on revived. So on player revived, because it doesn't say on player revived, it's not that event for that player. You want to be rewarded for reviving a player, not being rewarded for being revived. So I do believe it's event other player. So we're going to actually swap those out there and there and put that in and see how that works. If that's not the case, then it's just a simple flicking it back to event player. But maybe that could be, maybe DICE could probably better label that in the portal editor, just so it's on player revived or other player revived. That would be helpful. But nevertheless, we've got that in. And we have a scoring system which is going to be done as well. So we're going to change that to player score. Player score. How many points do we add to a player for scoring a kill? I'm going to say 200, which is equivalent to what it would be for XP. And then we're going to add a score for that player for death count. We don't want to give them any score for dying. An assist should be a quarter, so 50 of a kill. For reviving somebody, should be at least 100. And we're going to also change that to event other player. I do believe it is. We'll find out. We'll find out at a later point when we're testing. I think that would be sufficient. We want to give points to people that have killed the hostage afterwards, but we want to do that as a team focus thing. So team 1 score, so after every kill, after every death, after everything, we want to make sure that team score is kept at 0 for team 1. We're going to put in here an if equals get team for the player that is earned that kill. If he is on team 2, he is going to score for the team as well. So we're going to say team 2, and we're going to go array, set variable at index for, no, for team 2 score. It's always indexed at 0. And then we're going to go add from the existing variable that we've got there, global team 1 score, no, sorry, add value from team score indexed at 0, and we're going to add 1 to the score. So they've got to earn kills to do that. If they kill, yeah, this is going to be tricky. We want probably our hostage to be on team 2, so team 2 can't just troll us and kill him. I'm just wondering if we can actually switch the team off the AI without him dying and having to redeploy. I think that's something that we probably need to test in a minute, because that will determine what we can do in the future with this. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with all that there now. So we're going to do a save of our work here. Scoreboard and the scoring system is done, but we need to ensure that there is rewards for the team, for team 1, when the hostage has returned to the base. Death of hostage, so interact, hostage returning. We have here a subroutine which is going to score. So we set ourselves a message here to say test is okay when the player gets back, so we're going to put that variable in here. So we're going to go arrays, set that variable, team 1 score, and then we're going to go add the original value of the array itself. Team 1 score, always again indexed at 0, and we're just going to add a 1 to whatever that existing number is to give them that score. And we'll see that score going up every time that a hostage returns back to the main base safely. We'll get rid of the test OK message now, because we know that is no problem. What we do need to do is do a kill function for the AI, and what we want to do is we're going to do a little bit of quick editing in Godot here, just so we can get our where are we, portal Godot. We'll load up Godot. We're going to exit this game to give ourselves some memory. It doesn't run great when the game's running. We want to put a kill function in there. We want to teleport him out of the way as well. We need to tidy this up a little bit here. So as soon as he moves back to the main base, he's no longer a hostage. He is... That's got to be there. And we're going to get that there as well. We've got some wait functions in here. We want to kill him. Basically, we want to teleport him out of the way because we don't like it when he just appears like there. Do you know what I mean? We've got to change those locations slightly as well. So there's our vector that we need to change. We've got to send him to that. Got to send him to that location, which we don't want to do. We just want to edit that slightly to make it look like he's going to enter a door or something, and then just disappears the other side of the door, and then he dies. And do that. I think that's what we want to do. I think that would be much more sort of a bit more suitable. So DICE announced today that they're removing bots, backfill bots, from Portal completely because it's being abused. Fair enough. I'm not abusing them. I'm using them for a part of the actual gameplay. They're not going to be abused. However, I will make my own backfill bots to fill the server whilst there's no other players online, and I will go over that very shortly on how that can be achieved. So regardless of what DICE say or think or do, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's still going to it's still going to allow me to put bots in. So we're in Godot here, and there's a few things that we didn't do yesterday. And what I'm going to do here is we want to actually see the outlines of where those hostages are going to be taken from. To do that, I'm just going to drag in something as simple as doing this and just typing in sector, and we're just going to drag in sector, and we'll just chuck it on a roof. It doesn't matter where it is, as long as that is in the game somewhere. That's all that counts. Now what you can do is you can now, if you want to, I will go onto there, so this will show up on the map. So I'm going to the sector area, I'm going to put as the actual outline of the map, the out of bounds area, and then the capture points we're going to put in. I don't even think we need to do that. We could go 4. We're going to put in... No need. Absolutely no need for those at all. It will... I think that's all we need to do with that. So we're not interested in the sector thing really. As long as it just outlines what we've got, which it will do, that's all we need to do for there. So, perfect. What we wanted to do is make this AI run back to a more impressive place to go. There's a door here, I believe. Is that a door or a window? Let's make him run back to this door here, or that door there. We'll make him go to this door here. So we're going to put a spawn point in just there. It's just for reference. Spawn point. Gonna put that spawn point into there. Just put that. Just put him on the doorstep like so. So he goes up the ramp a little bit to the door, just like that. We're just gonna make sure that is reparented to the actual map, so we've got the proper global position. If I was to parent that under another object, it's going to have a local vector rather than the world vector, and we need the world vector. So we've got just tidy these off to round numbers. So we'll call this at minus 309. Perfect. 67. Yep, perfect. 76. No. 76.5. No. 76.6. No. A little bit more. 0.7. That's fine. 76.7. So back into Portal. So we want minus 309. Minus 309. And then 67. No problem there. And then 76.7. 76.7. And now because I've changed those, I've also got to just duplicate those and go to the subroutine and make sure that he is greater than the distance between that vector there. Whilst he is greater than that distance between those two, the icon's going to show. We want to speed that icon up a bit as well. We're going to make it half a second now instead. And then otherwise, if he is less than more than 2 meters away, which he will be, we want to then teleport him to a new location. So we're going to go teleport. Ooh. Teleport. Teleport that person to a new location, and we want to hide him somewhere, so we're gonna maybe we'll just chuck him through the other side of this building. That's it. That's all we need to do. We just got to put him to minus 327, like so. Oh, we could do it further than that actually. Just change it to 327 there. So teleport him to minus 327. It's asking for pitch. Just put that at 0. That's the angle he's looking. It makes no difference. And then we're going to wait for 3 seconds and then kill him. And he's done. Gone. We're going to give that a 10-second wait there before it spawns a new hostage, because it gives us time to put information on people's screens about what the situation is. I'm pretty happy that this is done. So we're just going to save our work there. We'll get rid of that spawn point in Godot as well now. We do want to save and export this map a little bit, bit further. We've got an issue here. This area here seems kind of exposed a little bit to enemies that are trying to attack the main base, and there's a bit of a spawn camping issue here, so I'm actually going to put a couple of objects in here. We will put in a couple of HESCO walls to just barrier that off a little bit better. There we go. Just get them a little bit over here, just to stop spawn camping. I'm not convinced that the out of bounds areas are working sufficiently on Battlefield 6 as yet. So I'm just putting this extra protection in just for the sake of there being some, some spawn protection. And I think we'll probably put some here as well. This is just preventative spawn camping things, just to protect the team from the enemies a little bit. Okay, that's just protection from enemies and spawn camping. Not much, but that'll be enough. Perfect. So we're going to save this. Before we do that, we want to put those HESCO barriers out of the way. We're going to move them up to the static section so they're clear and out of the way. Sector can... Oh, excuse me, I've done that wrong. Oh dear. I think I've just pressed cut. Oh dear. Oh dear. This is the problem with Godot. It doesn't like it when you make an accidental key press being wrong. Okay, there we go. We wanted to, it's doing it. Look, it's doing it again. This is a bug. It's annoying. Done. We're going to save and we're going to export current level. And we'll put that into our map rotation, delete that and put that in. And we'll save that. Go back to the rules editor and we'll give that a run for its money, shall we? Just give that a test. We'll load the game up. So providing that's all working, we have got no bug fixes to do on that. What's the next thing that we want to do? Well, we need to tell the game when to end. How do we tell when that game has ended? I think that's pretty straightforward. We can go, for example, rules, end round on scores, we put that as we could keep that as it is, but we're not going to test that just now. We'll do an actual in-game test. So after this, we're going to work on the actual backfill bots and the AI. So we're in the game. Our hostage has spawned. We're going to go release him. Our scoreboard hasn't worked on that. We need to just check on that. We do have the kills, deaths, assists, revives and score. That works. But we haven't actually spawned in any players on the other team yet, which is why. We want to... Okay, so the icon is a little bit quicker now. The AI seems to be intelligent enough to know what he's doing. I've noticed also our HESCO walls are not showing up. He also hasn't teleported. So we're going to quit out and find out why. Why are our HESCO walls that we've just placed here? He goes to the right place. So I think we need to go to statics and get rid of the best HESCO barriers out of there. We're going to make a new node. And we're going to call this objects that we've placed. Reparent that to the main group. And the HESCO barriers can now be copied into there. Objects, like so. I believe that's all we need to do to fix that. We're going to go save scene again. Export. Correct. And we're going to change this function on here to 3 meters. 3 meters. And see if that works. It might be because he's not getting close enough to it. We could also do a wait for function here, in fact. So on interact hostage. We'll test that as it is first, but we want to teleport that hostage. change his run to investigate run. We'll try that, see how that differs to the actual run function. The is hostage feature we can remove completely. We're going to remove that is hostage completely. I believe we don't need that. Yeah, we don't need to do that. So when the hostage spawns, we set him as the hostage. When he dies, he is no longer a hostage. Emptied. Done. Do we even need to do that? Set random wheel. Spawn new base. Spawn new AI. Based on that number. When you interact with him, hostage returning. Let's track that down there for Reese. Before he gets to the point he starts to move, yeah, we've got the icon that's working. When he gets back to base, he is not a hostage. This is our problem here. So we want to remove that. We want to set the random setup. We want to teleport him immediately. And then we want to wait for 3 seconds. And then we want to kill him. And at that point in time we've killed him, we remove him. We empty the array for a new hostage to be put into that place. Set that variable to random real. I believe that's wrong. This has to be 301 to 304. Made a mistake there. T1 score has scored that hostage release. Set AI from spawner. We also want to update the scoreboard at that point in time. So we want to put these into everything. So set scoreboard header, new player joined. So even after the game, somebody has joined the game brand new, like halfway through the round, and the scores have already changed. Yeah, we need to give them a new scoreboard with the correct scores, and we need to do that as well for there. We want to set the score for there. We want to do the score for death count. We want to do the score for the assists and the headers. It's always going to be updated. Revives, hostage spawn, death of hostage. No, we need to put that over here on. T1 score. There. Done. Save. And we've also got to put our JSON back in there as well, just to make sure that it's definitely saved and updated, because sometimes it fails. Like so. Back into game, and we'll just run a test on that. The investigate run, I'm not sure what that is. We'll just check what that AI does now with that investigate run. There's our hostage. The escape barriers are now spawned as well. A little bit of protection there. Good. That works nicely. It's all fixed. We haven't got any players on the second team yet because we haven't spawned any, so that's why we've only got one side of the scoreboard, but that's listed correctly. So we'll go and release this hostage and see what his behaviour is like. The icon, I reckon we could speed up half again, so maybe 0.25, yeah, maybe 0.25 seconds. The investigate run is very similar to the other function. He looks around a little bit more, like he checks his corners. That's quite cool. We might keep this. Normally before he'd just look straight on, but now he kind of looks around. Ah! Will he learn? Will he learn? Will he learn? No, he won't. Dear. So, to fix that, because these objects that I've placed are not part of the original pathfinding built into the map, I am actually causing him some issues there. So we're actually just going to delete those two and those as well, because we can put some in further down. Now we've got the protection that we need there. That's no problem at all. So we can just do a file and save, export that. Now, we did put in a function for what happens if the hostage dies. The hostage has died. So we'll just go back to there, we'll put in our new JSON file. We'll save that JSON into the map, and then look at the rules editor here to what happens when the hostage dies. So, hostage spawn, death of hostage. So, if that player is the hostage, which he is, we're going to remove the icon, which I believe we didn't we? Yep, the icon's gone. Okay. We don't even need to do that there. We don't need to do that. So when the hostage dies, we remove the icons from both teams, so you can't see his icon. We enable a new HQ. But surely we want to We want to randomize this more, so we're going to actually put in a wait here of 10 seconds. We're going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. We are going to get rid of that, going to get rid of that. So what we want to do is now do a new random ball event to randomize the initial setup. So we're going to go back to where we started at the start of the map. I've got to be in the 200 still. Just running this variable and spawning the AI is enough to set the whole game in motion again. So when that death of Hostage, that's all got to be turned off. It's all got to be turned off. The interact point, the HQ for the spawns, they're all got to be turned off. And then it sets a new variable. We're going to give that a 5-second wait, because we want to make sure that it's processed that change. Sometimes it overlaps each other and causes confusion, so it's best to separate them with a little bit of a wait. So we're going to spawn a new AI. Get interact point. And we want to enable the HQ for that point as well. Done. Interacting with that person. Turn off the interact point. Force switch inventory, hostage returning. So what we want to do here now is actually we want to actually put in the condition for that spawner, because we want to spawn in other AI which are not hostages. So we're going to put in a condition here. Condition that the event spawner is equal to get spawner and what was the spawner numbers? I believe they were 201, 202, 203, 204. Let me just double check. Hostage 1, hostage, oh no, AI spawners 1. So 201, 202, 203, 204. What if that spawner is equal to the number that is on that setup? That's what we're going to do. That is going to determine that he is spawned from a setup spawner. Done. So we're going to save that as well. We're going to just restart and do a test. Make sure that it doesn't get caught on the fence and makes it back. Right. Okay. Hostage just spawned. Fit through there if he comes this way. Oh, he can't fit through there. That's going to kill him. We're going to have problems with that. I bet you have problems with this. We'll just go and check. I've moved them already because you should be able to fit through both sides here. And if I can't, the AI can't, then he's going to get stuck. Anything that you add to this map that AI needs to navigate round, it's just, it's best not to block them. Really? He's gonna die. Yeah, I've got to get rid of the HESCO barriers. These ones are okay because you'll just walk around those, I'm pretty sure. Quick save, portal, export, okay, portal, map rotation, delete, include, upload, hostage, save, save, done, reload the game. Okay. So once this is a working test, we're going to just take a break on this stream, and then we're going to learn how to put our own AI backfill into the mode to avoid things like persistent server issues, because they are declining, giving you a persistent server if you're backfilling it with bots, because they know that it's going to be an issue. Looking good so far. No longer getting stuck. Found his way. Teleported. Died. Perfect. New hostage. Did we change that spawner thing? Let me just check. I think we changed some of the IDs for the new spawner on the algorithm. He gets back. Yes, 201 to 204. That is why we are not getting a respawn. That's fixed for the next time we join the server. Just to double check. Yep, that's done. Right, we are good. I don't need to test that because I know that's going to work. And because it still thinks that he's alive there, which is not, which is fine. That's why the icon's been put back there. I'm happy with the outcome of that. That's excellent. Okay, so I'm going to end this stream and take a break for 15 minutes and then come back and we'll just talk about how we're going to add the AI backfill into the server. Okay, enjoy.